Hello, hello. Hope everybody is having a great day. And today, I'm going to be telling the story that got my car taken away. Now, this story was pretty important for me because I had my car taken for probably about 4 months after this happened because my parents didn't trust me after this. And understandable, it was a pretty dumb story. This day, I had just gotten back from school. It was probably about 8 when I actually asked to leave. I was asking to go hang out with some friends. My parents had already started distrusting me because I was, doing drugs, getting into some shenanigans. And, they gave me the benefit of the doubt. They were like, yeah, sure, you can go do whatever you gotta do, but be back before curfew. And my curfew at the time was 12 a.m. because that's minor curfew. So I was like, yeah, sure. The real reason I wanted to leave was because I was doing a little bit of hookup action. I had been into that kind of shit recently at that time, and I would just kind of talk to random people and hook up with random people. My parents didn't like that. They didn't know about it, of course, but they figured out about it later when they went through my phone. So I ended up driving over to a hotel. I was pretty faded as well, but I can remember things. It went down in, of course, the hotel room. It was a little bit. I mean, it wasn't exactly what I thought, but it was all right. So after that, though, I felt dissatisfied. So I decided to pull up to Bobby again. Now, Bobby was off work and he wanted to get a little bit drunk. And he brought the bong too so we could get cross. So I picked up Bobby and we went to a King Soopers. Now, I think it was a little bit before 12 at this point. It was probably 11:15. So I was in a rush because normally I could play off being high. But what I didn't realize is how fucked up I would get. So Bobby went into the store and got some alcohol and brought in about 2 cases. And we didn't really care because we had done it so many times before. So we just maybe moved a couple parking spots over, went to a different parking lot, but it was still right next to the store. We didn't care. We weren't paranoid. We just started lighting up the bong. We were hotboxing my car and probably drank, I want to say 6 cans each. We got some seltzers. They're pretty good. I mean, normally I go with hard liquor, but seltzer works for me too. And we had some, I think it was Coors Light, which I'm not a big fan of. I'll drink normal beer. I just would rather have spirit at that point. But yeah, we were getting a little crossed, and we lost track of time. And I was way too fucked up to drive, but I had to drive home. I needed to get home, but I thought, geez, I probably shouldn't go home like this. They're for sure gonna know, and they're gonna get mad at me for driving fucked up. So I was like, I probably shouldn't go home. Like, I could stay here. But Bobby needed to get home before 12. That's the thing. He could play it off, maybe. That's what he said. He for sure couldn't. He was just as fucked up as I was, if not more. But I brought him home. His house was probably about a 15-minute drive. And he got home, I want to say 11:59. It was just before the time his parents needed him home. So that was lucky, but he was too drunk and he went upstairs, went to his room, and just collapsed. And he still had the 2 cases. He needed to bring them in. And he was too drunk, so he thought that just leaving them in the middle of his room, just on his floor, would be good enough. And I'll tell you now, it was not good enough. His mom walked in and immediately saw the cases. She was like, "God damn it, at least you weren't driving." And um, you know, Bobby was a little bit trashed, so he didn't really care, but he went to sleep. Now the issue was I was too fucked up, and I didn't want to go home, so I stayed outside of Bobby's house and just passed out. I was fucking, I was gone. I was out cold, and I woke up at 6 in the morning to Bobby calling me like, "Hey, why the fuck didn't you go home?" I was like, "Oh shit." I forgot. I was supposed to go home at 12. So it was 6 hours past the time my parents wanted me home. I had no idea if they knew at this point. They might have just went to sleep before I came home. So, they might not have known. And I was like, fuck it. I'm already going to be fucked if I go home right now. So I might as well go get a little more action. So I call up another bitch to go fuck. And I started driving. It was probably like a 20-minute drive. It wasn't that far. But yeah, I think it was like 7 by the time I started driving. So it was getting pretty close to when my parents would normally wake up and check in on me. So I was getting a little worried. But I was like, nah, I'm already fucked, so might as well go to the deep end. So I started driving over, and I met up with this bitch. I got her in my car, but before anything could happen, my parents called me up and were like, where the fuck are you? I was like, I never went home. And they were like, yeah, figures. You better come home right now or I'm reporting you as a missing child. I was like, oh, fuck. I don't want that shit to happen, because I have drugs on me. I'm obviously under the influence. They can't tell over the phone, luckily, but, I mean, if they saw me at that point, they would for sure know. I was able to drive, because, I had sobered up by this point, but I was still, I was smoking again. I would wake and bake. And I would, smoke while I'm driving. I had my dab pen. So, I was with this girl, and I was like, fuck, sorry, I'll keep you posted. If I can come back later, I'll let you know. She was like, okay, it's all good. And I let her out over by her area. And I walked, not walked, what am I talking about? I drove back home. I, got where I needed to go. But I was worried that my parents were going to beat my ass. They were pissed. I could tell over the phone because, they gave me one instruction. I could do whatever. I just need to be home before 12. And I fucking did not obey that at all. So they were obviously, angry. They only gave me one fucking job. And I fucked it up. So I was just sitting in the lot and I started, deleting my texts because if they saw that shit, I was gonna get my ass beat. I would be fucked. I deleted all the videos that I had. I hid a bunch of shit. I hid all the stuff in my car and I started fucking driving home. And I got home a little bit after and my parents were just both waiting in my room like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why didn't you come home? Were you drunk? I was like, no. And they were like, do you want me to drug test you? And I was like, okay, fine. Yeah, I was a little drunk. I was a little bit fucked up. They're like, you shouldn't be driving like that. You could kill someone or yourself. And, at the time, I didn't really care about, driving under the influence because I've never gotten pulled over. I've never gotten a ticket. I've never gotten in trouble with the law no matter what the fuck I've done. I've done some dumb shit and I never get caught for it because I'm cautious. But, and to this day, I still don't have issues with the law. But, I don't know. I just thought that it was fine to, drive under the influence as long as I was careful. So my parents were obviously mad at me, and they were like, we're going to have to take your car because you've done this multiple times. And I said, well, when am I going to get it back? And they said, when you prove you can be sober for long enough. Which, for me at the time, that was a big fucking ask because I couldn't go a single day. No, I couldn't go a single hour without being under, fucking just on anything. You could give me some Xanax, you could give me some psychedelics, you could give me some, of course weed is my go-to, or alcohol. I love weed, but alcohol is what makes me happy. That shit makes me happy. I can still be sad on weed, but if you get me drunk, there is no sadness in my life. But asking me to be sober is that's a chore. Now, they didn't know this at this point. They, of course, knew that I would get fucked up sometimes. They didn't know it was daily. They didn't know it was me smoking 8 different, times per day. That, if I told them that, they would immediately have sent me to rehab. I can't say that. So I just had to go with it. I was like, okay, fine. And to, get their trust, I gave them a lot of my shit. I left... I had so much shit because I was dealing at this point, so I had a lot of shit on me. So I gave them maybe 20 vapes, I want to say 3 carts, my pack of ciggies, which goddamn I still regret that. I loved that pack, bro. That shit was nice. And I haven't been able to get a new pack for myself since. I mean, maybe a couple different ones recently, but that that was my favorite brand of ciggies. My favorite brand is American Black Spirits. A lot of my friends smoke those, and I still adore those to this day. But nonetheless, they took a lot of my shit. I mean, I left maybe one dab pen and one vape, but the vape was pretty burnt, as most of mine were. And they checked my pockets, so they got my Novo, which was my baby. I fucking loved that Novo, and they took that shit from me. I was pretty sad. But, yeah, I gave them a lot of my shit. But the biggest mistake ever that I ever fucking made was, like, outing myself too much. When I'm hungover from, like, blackout hungover, it's like truth serum to me. Or even just while I'm still drunk. You can ask me anything and I'll just start fucking spewing. Like, I don't know when to stop. It's a real issue for me. I luckily don't do that as much anymore, but they asked me, like, what I had done, and I told them everything. Like, I told them I did, weed. They knew that. They knew I was vaping and drinking, of course. It's like normal teen stuff. But then I told them about the Xanax, because they were going to drug test me, and that would come up positive. Now, what I didn't know was they were bluffing. They didn't have drug tests, so I could have gotten away with it. They, of course, could have drug tested me the next day, maybe, or later that day, and maybe I would have been fine. But I told them about the Xanax and the Coke. That was such a bad idea. They immediately started looking for rehabilitation centers. They were looking to put me somewhere, like an institute, not just like an outpatient. They were trying to make me live in that shit. I did not want to do that. But I should not have told them about that shit. That was a terrible idea. I didn't know my cutoff. So they took my keys and they told me that if I wasn't sober for a month, I would never get my car keys back. And that they were going to drug test me almost on the daily. Most of the time, like weekly, they would drug test me. And I didn't know what to fucking do. Now, I used my car every day. I hadn't had my car taken at all, and I had it for a year straight at this point. So I was really used to driving everywhere. It was really nice. I could pick up my friends, and we would, like, smoke up in my car while I'm driving. We would, pass the pipe while I'm driving. It was just really chill. But now, not having that, I didn't know what to do. I honestly didn't know what to do with myself. It was a big issue. So I didn't know. I was like, maybe I do need to get sober. It is kind of bad. I do smoke way too much now. But I was so used to it that being sober was more like being fucked up to me at that point. Because I started thinking shit that I normally wouldn't when I'm sober. Not good things either. I was borderline psychosis at this point when I was sober. So I smoked so much to get rid of it. But I mean, I didn't really see myself as having a drug problem. Now I don't really have as much of a drug problem. The only things I really ever do now, I'll maybe drink every once in a while, and I, still have an issue with nicotine. I still would, die for a cigarette. But I'm trying to get past that. And, man, that car getting taken really fucked with me. It was my only goal my only thing pushing my sobriety for months. I wasn't able to hold it though, and that's what, ended up getting me to walk up to that McDonald's in that liquor store and get fucking blackout drunk, and what got me sent to rehab in the end. So, moral of the story, know your limits, know what to, of course, don't say too much when your parents ask you about shit. Like, if you out yourself, you'll be completely fucked. But also, you just obey what your parents say, because they have the best life of yours in mind. If I kept down the path of smoking 8 times a day, it would have gotten to 12. It would have just been a big money drain. I was already trying to finance a car, and I was spending so much on drugs that it was not going to work in the long term. So just know that your parents have the best for you in mind, even if they suck ass sometimes to deal with. And don't get fucked up and drive. I still have issues with that sometimes. I'm trying to get past that, but if you're gonna drink and you need a way to get home, call a damn Uber. If you get a DUI, that shit is like 10 grand sometimes. You could call a $20 Uber and you could avoid a big ass DUI fine, your license getting revoked, and getting jail time. Or you could kill someone. If you killed someone, that's a lot worse to think about than killing someone else. Imagine you run into a family of four, just an innocent family. You ruin their lives. That would traumatize so many people, and that's what fuels me to, not drive under the influence anymore. It's a really bad idea. And I'm really lucky that I didn't get in an accident because I don't even remember how I got to his house. I didn't even remember being with Bobby at that time. So I'm really lucky to still be here. I could have died. Bobby could have died. So I feel bad for, putting Bobby's life in jeopardy as well. I mean, he's my friend. Why the fuck did I decide to drive him home? I could have called an Uber. But, yeah, I mean, if you're ever gonna decide to drive under the influence, just know the risks, because it could be really bad. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. That story was a big, it was a big motivation for my sobriety. And, yeah, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.